Honorable members of Parliament, the Director General for Parliament, colleague CSOs present in this hall, our E for She, members of the women's movement here present. I am here to give a statement on behalf of Forward. And also want to say we're extremely happy to be part of this process, and we see it as an honor to sit in front of our honorable members of Parliament to make a humble request. We all know that the Ministry of Gender and Children Affairs has tabled a bill on gender empowerment with the aim to empower women and ensure gender equality, including greater protection against domestic violence and sexual offenses. Gender equality and women's empowerment are central to the national development of our country. And also, please permit me to quote President Julius Maada Bio during the launch of the Dewey policy. He said this: "I reaffirm my government's commitment to deepen and enhance the space for women's participation in all spheres of society and government." The implication of that speech was he was able to build on the country's previous commitments to fully implement the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa in the Maputo Protocol. We are all very much aware that 50% of the population of Sierra Leone, according to our recent housing and population census. However, this representation fails to be reflected in key areas such as literacy, economic empowerment, decision-making, and political leadership. For instance, we have 18 women, or am I allowed to say 19 now, based on the recently concluded elections? 19, 18, okay. So we have 18 women in Parliament currently. Although we have made some strides, we have been able in some areas to have legal reforms and increase gender awareness and activism, deep-rooted cultural beliefs and practices that discriminate against women and girls, and stereotypical perceptions of women and girls remain a stumbling block in achieving gender equality and women's empowerment. Despite some progress made in the pursuit for gender equality and women's empowerment over the years, our country still has enormous challenges affecting the efforts to ensure the full and equal participation of rights by women and men. On the positive side, there is increased gender awareness amongst stakeholders. Some institutions have been able to establish to prevent GBV, such as the Family Support Unit, and some legal reforms have taken place to rectify gender-based injustices, which have resulted in the enactment of laws such as the 3 gender laws. The number of women in executive positions in civil service has increased. The government has also just launched the free quality education, which provides a unique opportunity for many more girls to complete secondary school. However, there still remains a glaring absence of women in decision-making and political leadership. There are only 18 women in Parliament amongst 146 parliamentarians, which accounts for 12.33%. To advance gender equality and the empowerment of all women and girls in Sierra Leone, we need to improve women's human rights by enhancing their access to justice through improved knowledge of their rights, legal reforms, and enhancement of laws enforcement agencies, improve women's access to political leadership and decision-making at all levels, and to encourage sectorial ministries to ensure the integration of gender-oriented goals into fiscal policies, processes, and programs, and meaningful resource allocation focusing on women's needs. Women form critical mass of the population of Sierra Leone, and therefore any initiative aimed at promoting gender equality and women's empowerment will make a good leap in addressing discrimination and patriarchal issues. It will promote women's empowerment in the political, social, economic, and cultural fields. It will ensure accountability to everyone, including some of the commitments we have already made as people of Sierra Leone to CEDAW, the UN Beijing Platform for Action, the African Union Protocol on women's rights, the United Nations Resolution 1325, our Sustainable Development Goals, the Agenda 2063, among others. The bill will be a precedent to legislations that ensure gender equality and women's empowerment. It will ensure that gender equality is mainstream and promoted as a pertinent element to sustainable economic development. This will greatly depend on the meaningful and timely passage of the law. As my colleagues have already said, we look forward to May, and we hope that the bill will be passed as against that time. I also want to say at this point that FOWD and all our constituents celebrate the tabling of the Gender Empowerment Bill in Parliament, because we know as an organization that this represents a crucial progress in the fight against discrimination in Sierra Leone and seeks to protect all people, especially those in vulnerable categories, including children, women, adolescents, and young people at social risks, people with disability, people deprived of their liberty, and people who have been in prison, and people discriminated against because of their ethnic origin, socio-economic position, mental or physical health condition, amongst others. So on behalf of management, the board, and the entire staff of FOWD, we fully endorse the bill, and we want to at this point urge and encourage our members of Parliament to ensure that this bill is passed in Parliament. Thank you very much.
Thank you both.